Let's embrace innovative volunteerism.
Today I'm going to discuss why I do have a lot of optimism in young people, especially in using them to retool their skills to become the climate action solutions providers. I'm a passionate advocate, especially of young people, students, university researchers, and the whole of society for tackling climate change. I have written of the need for young people to study, to leave school with a mindset to be creators of alternative, competitive, low-carbon solutions for the mainstream economy. And this is why I am optimistic with what is happening. And I do see this translating to economic opportunities for sustainable, low-carbon economies across the entire world, and more so in the African continent. The reason for this is this. The African proverb captures it very clear. You have little power over what is not yours. And this is where we need to start. There is consensus in the economics world that human capital, which is the totality of skills, talents, energy, abilities of a person or group of people, which is up to 4 times the value of produced capital and 15 times the value of natural capital. So human capital is the foundation of knowledge economies that are at the epitome of the entire world. For Africa, as the most youthful continent, with up to 60% of the population below the 30s, this can only mean good news. My optimism draws from knowing that in this youth, Africa has the sovereign capital to ascend to the epitome through the low-carbon pathway. So the big question now becomes, how do we unleash this capital? This youth need a mindset change from being entitled to jobs, from being entitled to seeing themselves as complainers in chief, but to see themselves as the solutions they need to generate the jobs for the future generations, and that this has fallen upon them. And through innovative volunteerism, we have created one of the biggest ever mindset change across the continent, a virtual incubation space, mentoring and coaching space for young people to learn and turn ideas, passions, and into profits as they grow climate action solutions. With this mentorship tool, young people are structurally guided and inspired to use what they have, their skills, to improve their skills, to adapt them, to tap into climate action solutions in a manner that offers viable alternatives to demand areas in communities and society. For example, waste recovery to clean energy cooking solutions is coming up as a critical area with skills learned through the internet. Young people are working with communities to convert the agricultural waste into clean cooking briquettes. And by so doing, they are tapping into providing a sustainable alternative to charcoal, a solution that is up to 2 times cheaper. These young people are tapping into a sector valued at $20 billion, averting deforestation to maintain forest sinks and averting indoor pollution responsible for up to 600,000 deaths each year in the continent. They are venturing into making biofertilizer from waste, an area that is generating over 500% profitability. So, a mindset change among the youth to invest their time to learn a skill, even free online, and apply it to offering more affordable, environmentally sustainable alternative solutions in an enterprising approach to on-demand areas in communities is making me optimistic that the youth are the unsung heroes and solutions provider that we need to. I have argued forcefully that climate action wouldn't come about through policy and regulation alone, but through economic opportunities, through innovations, and through enterprise. And this is why. I say so because Africa does not lack in policy per se. As we speak today, the African region is the outstanding region that have the highest number of nationally determined contribution ratifications. 52 out of 54 African countries have ratified the Paris Climate Change Agreement, making Africa the highest region in compliance. These NDCs balance both mitigation and adaptation commitment that leverages nature-based solutions. Climate policies are not lacking in the continent. They exist in one form or another in nearly every country. Or enabling sectoral policies such as fit-in tariffs aim to attract investment in clean energy. Climate-smart agricultural policies. All these are commonplace in most African countries. So what's my point? My point is simple. Africa is not wanting in policy provisions for a low-emissions, climate-resilient development pathway. The big gap is in one word: implementation. How do we close this gap? It's the big question that we need to answer. 3 fundamental aspects need to be understood. First, policy must be accompanied by incentives. Second, incentives must be informed by what has been proven to work on the ground. These incentives need a proof of concept that climate action creates value in the mainstream of economic activities. And the third point, which is important, to generate this proof of concept, it is incumbent upon non-state actors, including individual citizens, including the young people, the youth, to leverage whatever little or much there is of enabling policy and act on it to generate results that can then lay an objective basis for targeted incentives. And I give a practical, typical example that accrues from our work. This typical example here can shed more light. Through innovative volunteerism, we have been structurally guiding young people to retool their skills and develop simple climate action solutions of solar dryers, and work with smallholder farmers that produce up to 80% of the food in Africa to decentralize the solar dryers to these farmers and enable them to add value to preserve their harvest. The application of these simple solar dryers is generating data that proves their effectiveness and efficiency in enabling agro stakeholders to achieve compliance to food safety and hygiene standards by effectively and efficiently ensuring food dehydration to below 10% as stipulated in national standards towards preventing aflatoxin growth of mold and fungus while ensuring hygiene. This data on effectiveness of these solar dryers was taken up by national standards bureaus who are now integrating solar dryers as affordable tools for driving compliance to food safety, held by ensuring optimal moisture content for long-term preservation and hygiene standards. Because of this integration, any actor who needs to implement food safety, moisture content, and hygiene standards needs to apply solar dryers as a tool for achieving compliance. And this is generating a market for these solar dryers and creating market enterprise opportunities for youth who are involved in developing these climate action solutions. Did you hear that? And those using the solar dryers also achieve compliance as they cut losses and preserve their food to enhance their income as well. This is a direct market incentive to enhance market investment and uptake of climate action solutions of solar dryers. These are realities that I'm talking about here. They are not abstraction. And another dimension is that this data that is coming out is also showing how application of solar dryers is driving value addition to cut post-harvest losses and enhance farmers' incomes as called for by climate-smart agriculture policies. Farmers have reversed losses. From the example we are seeing from the field, they are enhancing their earning up to 30 times. This data provides an objective basis for a further proof of concept for more targeted incentives towards enabling youth to invest more in these solar dryers. As an example, this data can be taken up to inform policy incentives such as zero rating tax for solar dryer material and components, tax breaks for youth who are engaging in developing these solar dryer solutions. The bottom line effect being to create market incentives that enable more youth to afford developing these solar dryers and create income opportunities for themselves while driving upscaling of climate actions. So yes, climate action will not only be enhanced by policy alone, but by incentives which require proof of concept of their impact in the mainstream of economic activities. So we must promote the idea of engaging everyone in what I call deliberative democracy in driving climate action. The importance of deliberative democracy in decision making to deliver better policies, strengthen democracy, and build trust are crucial in driving climate action. A whole of society approach. What we are seeing and understanding is that we do not do development for people. So every idea to bring climate action is to be dovetailed to what people understand and fit into the realities of their shared responsibility so that the outcomes can be able to be sustainable. We are fostering meaningful deliberative democracy on closing the gap between policy and meaningful implementation through our work by engaging citizens and non-state actors who understand the context and know their problems to identify the gaps that are needed as we guide them to fill these gaps. Through these approaches, the informal sector and youth are building shared responsibility and owning processes and outcomes for climate action solutions that provides data to inform more targeted incentives to enhance policy implementation. So overarchingly, we must all take values-based leadership. We must all exercise selflessness and leverage the already existing enabling environment we have today to implement and apply climate action from a solutions and enterprising lens that proves its viability in generating solutions that lifts millions from the bottom of the pyramid. That's the essence of climate action. You and me have a responsibility. Let's usher ourselves to action and bring climate action impact to scale. Thank you.
You offer value to him by being useful to fellow man and to punish those who that bury their talent. This is innovative volunteerism. It is for you to make a difference.